Welcome, everyone. This is Pilot Fuels, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Terry Adwin.
Hi.
And Cinders.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. And we are going to begin this week with the Beacon, where we have a statue of an elf, it looks like. Is that Gilgalad?
I don't think so, because Gilgalad usually has the shield.
Ah, okay, you got a point there.
And I'm not 100% sure where this is taken either. Is this in the caverns in Rivendell? The little rep crafting area thing?
Ooh, that's a possibility.
So it kind of looks like it from the lighting and the
It's in a cave somewhere, so it's either that cave or it's well, I guess it could be the gardens at Seligoth, or that place in Western Gondor.
Well, let's see. Well, if it's a place in Western Gondor, it would have to be Amroth, I would think.
Yeah. I don't know.
We would have to first find out where it is, then we could try to decide whether on who it is after that.
Because is it Celebrimbor? Maybe he's got like a staff or something.
Oh, that's a staff. Okay, I guess I thought it was a spear, but yeah, it has a funny head to it. So
it almost looks like it. Well, I can't tell if it's like a trident thing or if maybe it's the staff and then there's some other ceiling feature behind it. I don't know. I can't tell.
We're going to have to go in game and get a closer look at it.
If we can figure out where it is in game, yeah.
Well, that's a little minor detail. So let's head into our community spotlight. Zone Flux has created a Guardian guide for update 22.2. So if you're a Guardian, you may want to look into that.
Yeah, because Zon does really good guides.
And that's right. And today was Weather Stock 10, and if you missed it, there will, of course, be on Twitch. I would presume that it'll still be up on Twitch for a while, and since the things that go on the LOTRO stream usually wind up on YouTube not too long afterwards, we may also be seeing that on YouTube within the week. And you could join Lena Willowwood for a grand Hobbit summer rooftop picnic on July 22nd on Laurelland. So you'll have to be listening to us live in order to be able to catch that on time, since that will be tomorrow from the point of view of when we're recording this. And The Adventures of Eladin's Outriders episode 71 is now available for reading. And Nathrin has created a cosmetic weapon visual database that you can view by clicking. Have you checked that out, Terry?
No, I didn't realize she was done. I knew they were working on it, but I didn't realize that it was done. I haven't actually looked at the Beacon this week. I had some other stuff going on.
All right. And
that's cool.
Yeah. Take a look at the Javelin collection, and showing. All right, and the article that's linked in the Beacon has a link to each of the various types of them. So I was just checking out the Javelin guide, so you can have a look at what the various javelins
so it
are.
shows a close-up of the appearance and then where you can get it.
And where you can get it is always a useful thing to find out.
Especially if it's something if it's like a thing that's got multiple appearances, that's in there.
That's very good to know. And
so like one of my favorite staves that I use on my lore master has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different iterations, they're all listed, which is really cool.
So head on to the beacon in order to get that little list in there. And Club Eclair will begin a new adventure into Moria in August, and you could find out more at the link given in the beacon. Now for the Kin Hall, the Eagles of Thorondor is a kinship on the Arkansas server. They are an active group who play together and help each other on a regular basis. They love exploring the various ways to enjoy LOTRO. They are an international, diverse, and welcome all ages and abilities. If you'd like to join them, find them in-game or get in touch with them within the form that's at their website. And now, our weekly comment. What is your most favorite class skill?
Depends on the class. Obviously.
Well, yeah, there is that little detail.
I do, on my lore master, love the lightning storm. I don't know if that one is a class skill, but that is one of my absolute most favorite skills.
Well, that definitely would be a class skill because you're blasting them with lightning with a lore master skill, right?
Right. You know, like 5 of them at once, preferably.
Let's see. Well, let me see. What is my favorite class skill? That would be have to be the Warren skill that removes those nasty wounds and effects like that on you. Well, actually, it's either that or Force March. Force March is so nice.
Until it clicks off when you go in combat, and then you have to remember to turn it back on again afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is that little that's at least one advantage is you can use the one that gets rid of those debuffs in combat.
I think if Sanswinda were here, she'd say that the Hunter's Leafy Feet are one of her favorites. And those are my favorite when I run with a Hunter.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite skills to have around that and all of the ports. Hunter Taxi.
Those are like my 2 favorite parts of running around with a Hunter. That, and I rarely actually have to kill anything because they usually get it done before I get there. Everything's dead before I can get a skill off.
Well, some people will consider that to be a disadvantage, especially if they're working on their class deeds to use certain skills in combat.
Or, if you're on a class where you get bonuses for getting a killing blow.
Yes. But when you're just deeding or something like that, it's great. Because you don't have to do any of the work, and you still get all the points for it.
Okay, I presume then you mean Monster Slayer deeds.
Yes. Or when you're trying to run around in an area to pick up all of the deeds that you get just for showing up. Like the location.
Deeds?
Yeah. Because they can kill all the mobs that want to kill you while you just run around and make sure that you get all of those tagged. And they can also kill everything while you're trying to pick up pages. And so you can just go pick up pages and you don't have to worry about anything killing you.
All right. So just about any deed except for the class skill deeds, then...
Yes.
All right. That's good. So let's head into the fan site news then, where...
Wait a minute.
What?
I didn't actually answer the question.
Oh, we conversed for so long.
I know. Well, a lot of people identify the champion as being the Shing Shing, but I can tell you my favorite champion skill is actually the skill where if I hear the noise that it makes, and you can hear it from a long way away in the game, you automatically know that there's a champion in the area because it's Devastating Strike, which is the skill that you only get in Redline as a champion. It's your Fervor Builder. And it makes the sound of basically an earthquake, and it does this cool ground shaking emote, and you can hear it from absolutely ages away. Like, you can't even hear, you're not even getting the so-and-so killed this messages in your chat, but you can still hear the fact that there's a champion in the area because you hear Devastating Strike go off.
Which is really cool.
Shing Shing you have to be a lot closer to hear. I mean, that's another one that's extremely recognizable, but you have to be closer to hear it. Devastating Strike, you just hear from Forever Away Off. It's
Forever
awesome.
Way Off.
Yeah, Forever Away Off.
Okay.
Now we can go on.
Now we can go to the fan site news, where Andain continues his questing through Mordor in part 58 of his series.
You haven't done
And
with Mordor yet? Amateur.
I know, and I'm already done with the North Kingdoms on mine. Yeah, so let's see. And Bloodborne runs Boss from the Vaults, Thrang, on his stream.
I never actually got around to doing that.
Yeah, I never got to do it for real. I did do it at least once with a high-level character doing it on a low setting, which isn't really doing it. So therefore, yeah, I never had a chance to do it either because no one was around wanting to do it. And it is in Felagoth.
Oh, the Strange Out of the Drop is Felagoth?
Yeah.
I did say Felagoth could be an option.
Yeah, it is definitely in Felagoth. So my guess then is that it is Thranduil's father, probably, because it looks like he has a crown on his head.
Maybe.
Not gonna lie, for some of these elves, it's really hard to think about them as having parents because they've been alive for so long. It's just this weird concept to wrap your head around.
You never see elf children. You see human children frequently, but you don't see elf children.
Right? And they have to exist because they say, oh, so-and-so is the father, so-and-so is the mother. But, I don't know, they just... it's weird to think of elves as parents.
They hatch
or having
egg,
parents.
fully grown.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there is that. And well, when you consider that one of the younger elves that we run into is Arwen, and she's about 2,000.
Yeah.
So, or somewhere in that region. So therefore, yeah, we don't exactly go around worrying about, how, whose father is to be? Yeah, because they're all grown up, and I have a feeling that.
And they look ageless.
And many of them have decided that they're not going to have any more children before going back to the Undying Land, probably. Actually, no, because the Wood Elves aren't as tied to going back as the High Elves are. So, yeah. You would think that we've seen one.
Well, I mean, we've seen ones that we know are children of somebody.
Yeah.
Like Arwen and Legolas. We know that they have parents and their parents are still alive in game, but they're not children either.
Yeah. When you start saying your age is over 1,000, you can't call the person a child anymore.
No. And they all look ageless. So, I mean, Legolas looks the same age as his dad, and so you wouldn't be like, oh, yes, that's definitely Legolas's dad. He looks older. You know? You don't have that you do when you look at humans, where you're like, oh, yes, I can obviously tell that you're a senior citizen. Like, you've got a cane and you're... I mean, you don't have those context clues to cue you in that, oh, they might have had a kid, or, oh, they're a parent, or, oh, they've been in existence for 5,000 years as opposed to 2,000. Like, you don't get cues like that. And then you have, hobbits that have a similar age trend to humans, and you have, oh, Sarah Oakhart, as opposed to, little hobbit children playing games in the streets.
Sarah Oakhart's an exception because technically, spoilers, but, technically she's an elf that's masquerading as a human.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh,
When do you find this out?
In Volume 1.
In Volume 1? Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Seriously.
How far you gotten in Volume 1?
I thought I had played Cinderina through the entirety of Volume 1, and somehow that completely eluded me.
Amarthiel?
Yeah?
Remember Amarthiel? Narmaleth? Is
Vaguely.
the Sarah Oakheart that we meet, yeah.
Oh. Well.
Yeah, because she killed the real Sarah Oakheart.
And took her place. She's
Yeah,
been using her as a disguise for, I don't know, however many hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Well, I am now upset that I missed that. So on my next character, playing through Volume 1, I will be paying very close attention.
The point at which you find this out in Volume 1, it tends to be really frustrating by all of the other weird bits, the annoying travel bits that are going on in Volume 1. So at that point, you're just done, and you just want to get it over with, so you stop paying attention to quest text, and you just click, yeah, okay, whatever's next. Get me through it already.
Yeah, well, and I think the first time I did it with Sans, and I was just clicking through to keep up with her. So yeah, that might be part of it as well. But I have played other characters through it where I was reading text, and I must not have been paying that much attention to it.
Yeah, it's somewhere around book 8.
Okay, I'll be watching for it.
More. Yeah, okay.
You can read it on the wiki, too.
I'd rather read it in game.
Okay. And you can watch Doug Glendower continue Volume 2, Book 5 with Chapter 4, The Sorrows of Khazad-dûm. And Druid's Fire for Gondor has no druids, of course. And the Tolkien Professor continued his Mythgard series. And in the news, there was an update, update 22.4. Did we talk about that one already, or?
We did not. It was a tiny update that we had this week.
That's right.
Like,
that's right.
Tiny update.
Yeah, there is one little thing that was controversial with some people, I'm sure. And that was the turning off of mailing for Mithril.
Yeah. I don't really get that change.
Oh, apparently, a lot of the gold sellers were using that ability.
That doesn't even make any sense because you have to have Mithril in order to send stuff through the mail via Mithril. It doesn't make sense for them to invest in Mithril. It's weird.
I forgot what they do in order to. I don't know what they do in order to get the Mithril, but yeah, that's sort of like one of those strange things that they do. And another thing is that another small one, which I'm sure has a lot of people in Germany and France being happy about, and that is kinship names now can have diacritics.
Yeah. Seriously, you're not going to talk about the warden changes?
Okay. Okay. Warden changes. All warden skills now count as melee or ranged skills, and they are enhanced by physical mastery. In other words, there are no more skills that are affected as tactical skills, and I really should go around and check to see. I did notice that one of my wardens that I was checking on Thursday, the one that I'm questing on you with, that I believe I think my tactical mastery was virtually nothing anyway, so I'm probably better off with that change. And let's see, what is it on my husband? Yeah, my physical mastery is twice my tactical mastery on my main warden, so yeah, I'm certainly not going to be worrying too much about tactical mastery anymore.
Well, I mean, I just thought it was interesting, because basically the way it reads is all what warden skills now count as melee or ranged skills, which means that if you're in ranged stance, your melee skills still count as ranged skills, even if they're not.
Well, if you are in ranged stance, then you don't really have much in the way of melee skills because your Gambit build
is still melee, even in ranged. It's weird.
Yeah, okay.
And shield bash too, I think. The 2/2 skill.
Okay, yeah.
I only know this because I go into ranged and then I forget that that's still a melee skill, so I have to get up close to use it.
Oh, yeah, there's... I sometimes wonder, though, whether they were being treated as range skills. I know the range they were giving was virtually none, but I didn't know if they were actually being treated in the game for computation purposes as range
That's why
skills.
I was trying to ask you about it on Thursday, because I didn't know. I don't play Warden.
Yeah, I have to admit, I don't go into range stance all that often, so therefore I've never worried about it all that much. Because I spend most of my time in the melee stance. I only go into range stance if I am fighting something like one of those Grims in a skirmish that like to constantly bounce around all over the place, and they're annoying to fight when you're in melee, so I just switch to ranged and throw javelins at them.
Okay.
In which case, avoiding those skills that you have to use up close and personal, even in range stance, I'll avoid those because, well, the entire point of going to that stance in the first place was so I wouldn't have to get up close and personal.
That's fair.
So,
Yeah.
I have a question, not about the Warden skills, but about the new items that they've added to the Gorgoroth Steelbound loot box.
Oh, yeah, actually, that's the most controversial one. Ooh, the flack they got for that one was a torrent of fire.
So, I am curious about some of these things. So, what makes a Steeds of the Tireless mount selection box different than the other mount selection boxes that are already in-game? Is it like a specific steed that's available, or are more steeds available?
Well, first off,
I've got all kinds of questions.
Expect that one to be pulled.
Okay.
Because that's the one that there were complaints about.
So why were they complaining? Because I haven't seen any complaints.
Because it has the same skin as a raid made it as something that required you to do a tier 2 raid or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Or I don't know it myself, but that's the gist I got from the thread is that this is something that came from a raid, I think Isengard or something like that.
So there's a War Steed of Isengard set of War Steed cosmetic appearances. Would those be pulled as well?
Well, I don't know, but that was the impression I got. And it looks like that. I don't know what they're going to do, but it sounded like that a response from Severlin made it sound like, sounds like he heard the feedback. I think is sort of like what he said. He acknowledged the feedback, and usually when they do that, it means that maybe we better rethink this.
Okay. A little kid pet goat. That makes sense. A visiting barber housing decoration.
Ooh, that I'm sure some people would like if they don't feel like. Well, I don't know how many people really would. It depends how. Does anyone actually use the barber enough to justify putting one in your kin house?
I don't. And what is a flame-quenched ring and bracelet in honor of summer? Is it just a cosmetic ring or bracelet? Because those don't actually show up really on your character anyways. Do they? Or is it something that gives you special skills that you can use during the summer festival that maybe make things like the picnic easier?
I have no clue on that one.
Probably a piece of gear that you can ash.
Okay.
That's probably it, yes.
All right. Sounds good.
Most of the gear that comes out of the loot boxes typically turns into ash for me.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've bothered getting any black steel keys, so it's been a long time since I've seen anything out of Gorgoroth Steel. I think I have not gotten a black steel key since the release of Update 22.
So when you decide you want to do dailies so that you can get some ash and stuff for better gear for the Abyss raid, we can help you.
Okay.
Well, I think we've already been helping finally with that, actually.
Yeah,
Yes.
because we did that a bit before Update 22 was released.
And we're going to be running it at tier 1, so the gear doesn't need to be like super great.
I suppose that's true.
It's got to be fairly comparable to about what Terry's got, and it sort of is pretty comparable to about what Terry's got. So I think that was what we determined on Thursday, is that Pine Leaf is pretty survivable for Tier 1.
For Tier 1, yeah.
Well, that's good.
Right. Also, please note that the Standing Stones team is going to be attending Gen Con in Indianapolis on August 3rd. So if you're going to be in the Indianapolis area, you could check on their official meeting. This is going to be an official Standing Stones event. There'll be several people there, including Cordovan, of course, who always goes there, even when it was unofficial events. And they are going to be meeting outside of the convention area. So it's not going to be an official part of the convention. It's an official Standing Stones event. So therefore, you don't have to have a badge to the Gen Con convention in order to go there. Of course, you do have to be in Indianapolis.
Well, yeah.
So that's a little harder for some of us.
I so want to go. Trying to talk my mother into Gen Con. Maybe next year or the year after.
And then you can meet Drac.
Mm-hmm. I think she would really enjoy a gaming convention.
Even when that's that crowded?
Yeah.
Okay.
She likes people.
Oh, okay. So
I'm the one who has issues with crowds. And I'll just, I just need to have a beer or something beforehand and I'm good.
Okay, so that's the... Right, so I've never been to Gen Con either. Maybe someday I could make it there, but I've been to Origins, but never to Gen Con.
So I have a question about Gen Con. How is Gen Con different than something like Comic Con? Because I'm used to hearing about Comic Con, but Gen Con, Mythmoot, things like that are new terms. And what makes them different? That might be for a different time.
Different location.
Okay.
Well, I always thought that Comic-Con sounds to me like a very strongly comic book oriented, I would think, based on the name.
It started that way, but it's broadened quite a bit since it first started. And a lot of the cons have actually. So Gen Con is actually more gaming oriented, tabletop gaming specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, but Gen Con started out being sponsored by TSR probably, because that was
I think so, yeah.
Because it started in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin.
Yeah, it was started by the D&D people.
Okay.
It's been around for a while. Long time.
Yeah, so that'd be early 70s.
So longer than I've been alive.
Yes. Yes. Now, Mythmoot, that's a
whole other ball of wax.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing, because that's a gathering of people interested in Tolkien, and it's closer to a scholar. It's sort of a mixture of a scholarship meetup and a Tolkien fan club, so it's people involved with Tolkien no matter what.
Okay. I was wondering, because Sans was like, it's like
It's not just Tolkien. They've broadened into other fantasy stuff, the same way Mythgard has, so.
Yes, it's sort of... Yeah, there is a mixture of that, because it is broader than that. Essentially, it's the type of stuff that you would get being taught at Signum University. If it's likely to be something that could have a class on it at Signum University, it'll definitely be at Mythmoot.
Okay. That makes sense.
Since it's sponsored by Signum University.
Which makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, I've just been trying to figure it out, because I've seen, the Tolkien Professor and people like that posting things on Twitter. Like, I'm going to be at this convention. I'm like, okay. I don't know what those are.
Yeah. Now, they have been lately having local moots. those are ones that are, because if you can't get to Northern Virginia to go to Mythmoot, then there are local moots that they're starting to have, because they've had one in Texas, they had one in London. They, I think, are getting ready for Baymoot. I think Baymoot's the one in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's the one that I was seeing.
Right, that's San Francisco. So therefore, if you're going to make one, I think they were considering maybe one up in the Pacific Northwest. So if you hear something called Sound Moot or something like that, it might be one you might be able to make.
Yes, that one would definitely be within reach and more navigable as far as traffic and stuff goes.
Right.
For a small town person.
Well, I don't know if there's a mountain range between you and the Sound, but...
Well, there is. So as long as it's not in the middle of winter, it's usually a pretty safe bet. But if it's in the middle of the winter, you could just take a 14-hour trip around the mountains. It's not a big deal.
Oh, okay. Oh, there
You
is...
need at least 14-hour notice. All right.
Okay, there is a winter pass then?
So what you have to do is, instead of being able to take the main pass across, because this has happened to me, I actually got stuck on the pass with some other people headed for a General Education and SPED conference in the Seattle area. And so we ended up going down on the eastern side of the mountains, down all the way to the Oregon-Washington border, across to Portland, and then up to the Seattle area. It took us about 14 hours. It's a lot of driving. And you can get stopped at 2 a.m. on the freeway for a headlight out.
Okay. They take those headlights seriously.
Yes, they do.
Well, yes, you're a lot more likely to get stopped at 2 a.m. for a headlight out than you are at 2 p.m., so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, let's then... all right, anything else in here? No, so let's go into our screenshot of the week, where... looks like we have someone standing in a field of lavender.
Yeah, I was trying to identify that, actually.
Now, is this the heath up in down at the Gap of Rohan?
I think so. That's kind of what I wanted to say.
Yeah. Yeah, so Poltergust has posted this week's screenshot of the week, where I presume it's in the Heathfields, but if someone listening has a...
Yeah, Mary Rose says Heathfields near Nancorneer too, so she had the same idea I did.
Okay. Then that will be where our screenshot of the week, and that's a real lovely place. So that concludes our beacon for this week. So let's go into our store sales. Terry, what is for sale this week?
Oh, such good stuff. But before I get to that, the weekly coupon gets you Relic Pack ×1 with coupon code Relic Pack now through July 26th.
Yippee do.
Yay. I know, right? And the summer sales, we got 35% off the Enhanced XP supply. Yay. 50% off Imbued Legacy Replacement. Yay. 75% off the Areador bundle, which is a super great deal if you don't already have it or you're not VIP. And then store sales, 25% off select shared wardrobe, cosmetic outfit slots, mounted combat trait spec, cosmetic slots, and select cosmetics. Yay! So excited. So excited.
I may.
Wardrobe's on sale.
There are cosmetic things you don't have yet?
Well, I don't have all of the wardrobe unlocked.
Okay.
I definitely bought myself some shared wardrobe space already. I have not bought myself more cosmetic outfit slots, but I probably should.
I can't. I already have all 7 unlocked.
Yeah, so do I.
And I was looking at some of the cosmetics and went, I'm going to have to ask Terry if these ones are worth buying.
Yeah, actually, that's not a bad idea. The caveat that I always tell people is to do your research on the cosmetics, because sometimes it'll stay store exclusive, but it's not actually just in the store. You can get it at the skirmish camp.
And say there was something golden something or other that I was looking at. I was like, I wonder about this. I've not seen anything like this. I don't even know what this looks like. But I didn't do any more research than that.
Oh, there's a handy try-on button.
Okay.
If you're in the store, there's the little hanger that's in the corner.
Okay.
There's a little try-on thingy. It'll pop up your wardrobe.
Ooh. I know what I'm doing this evening.
Oh, yeah. That reminds me. When I came into game after the update, I have no idea if the Hobbit mannequin's been the same for the last 3 months or if it's a new one or whatever, but I clicked on it just for giggles and that was a nice looking outfit. I was wondering, do you know what the pieces are, if those are things that are available in game, and if so, where I could find them?
I would have to find a mannequin.
Yeah, so
let me poke around and look, and I will get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm nowhere near a mannequin at the moment.
Then let us head into our site news, where we have a little thing from Squirrel, who's asking the question, is it okay to be bored in LOTRO?
Well, the answer to this question is kind of really no. Like, I don't know how you can really play LOTRO and be bored unless you're doing crafting.
See, and I would say that yes, it is okay to be bored in LOTRO.
Okay, defend your answer then.
So I would say that it's okay to be bored in LOTRO, especially if you're doing something repetitive like deeding or crafting. But also, if you play it long enough or often enough, you can get burned out and you have to take a break and come back to it.
But if you have to take a break from it, then it's not. Well, taking a break is the thing that's okay then, but it's not. But
yeah, you shouldn't be in-game bored. If you find yourself bored, it's probably time to take a break.
Well, yeah, and so I would say that yes, it is okay to be bored while you're playing LOTRO, or if you're with a group, because sometimes if I'm playing with Sans or whatever, I'll find that I do get bored. And so we'll finish whatever we're doing, and then we'll go do something different. And sometimes you get tired of playing the same characters, and that's why you have alts, right?
Right. That's exactly why I have alts. Yeah, I like going through certain quest chains, volume 1, repeatedly can kind of burn me out, but that's one of the reasons, again, why I have alts, because I've always got something that I can do in game. So if I get tired of doing one thing, see, it's not okay for me to be tired of doing one thing. So if I get tired of doing one thing, I just go do something else. That's why for me it's not okay to be bored in LOTRO. I just find something else to do.
But isn't the boredom what drives the change?
Well, except his question is kind of, I rate it as like, is it okay to be bored and stay bored in LOTRO? And it's like, if you get bored, just don't stay bored. Find something else to do.
Yeah, maybe we should actually...
And then you're not bored anymore.
I should probably really read the whole article before I dive too much further into that question. Just at face value, I would say yes, it's okay to be bored in LOTRO, because sometimes as you're going through, even if you're just on the one character, it does get boring, but eventually, like, so if you spend your time going through Moria, for example, it can get really boring. And it can get tiresome and everything looks the same, but sometimes you just have to suck it up and get through it too. And then you get to go out into the sunshine again and oh, yay, and everything's happy and exciting.
Then those stupid elves send you back into Moria.
Exactly. But once you get out of that, then you start to have the differences and stuff again. But I think just... there is a point where you have to just kind of deal with the boredom to get through the content too, and get to the next spot. And that's okay. You don't have to love every section of every area or every section of every task, in my opinion.
Okay. Then,
Henley is very carefully staying out of that.
yes. Let's head into our new player question. And Cinders, what's the question for this week?
So my question is, what is the benefit to being in a crafting guild? And how should I select which one to choose when multiple options are available? So, for example, if you have a jeweler, they could also be in the cook's guild. How do you pick if you're going to be in the jeweler's guild or the cook's guild?
Whichever one it's going to be easier for you to get components for. So usually for me it's jeweler, because
Right.
you
Because
can
if you, yeah.
prospect up the materials.
Yeah, a tinker I would probably recommend the Jewelers Guild. Unless you have an alt that's a farmer that's constantly sending you stuff. And but in any case, I usually find that the guild benefits of the cook is probably one of the weakest ones anyway, and I should know because I have a cook because my main is in the cook's guild. I guess certainly not going to be in the tailor's guild because I don't do enough tailoring on this character.
I to nobody's surprise, I have no gilded alts.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, that's no real surprise there because you'd have to go through quite a bit.
Alts who've joined the guilds and then they've never actually followed through, so they've only done like maybe the first tier of the guild. Most of them not even that. It's too much work.
Yeah, I think I have only 2 characters that have actually gone a significant distance in their guild, and one of them is my cook. I think I still might not have done the last tier of that, and the other one is my woodworker, my hunter, who's a woodworker, and that's from Crick Hollow, and that's because my hunters and my wardens tend to use woodworker gear.
Cook is just painful to level up in the guild hall. Anyway.
Oh yeah, that is painful.
I have one that's working on it.
It's painful enough leveling up the tiers of crafting for cooking. Trying to do a gilded cook is just beyond ridiculously painful.
Yeah.
And I know this because it's actually the one that I'm eventually probably going to do because my little farm boys over there, my little other champion is my cook.
Yeah. I always thought it funny that they decided that cooks can't make, the stuff in Mordor, and that the reason is because cooks and scholars create useful stuff otherwise, so they don't need to create these things. And I'm saying, wait a minute, are we talking about the cooks who had all of their recipes literally nerfed so that their current recipes at 115, I think, are worse off than the old version of their 105 recipes?
Yeah.
Oh boy. I'll quit ranting and head on to our weekend LOTRO. And Terry Edwin, what were you up to?
Well, I led the girls through Ale Association rounds in the Shire. So we had the first 3 quests unlocked anyway. So we did those, which is the round of the Shire, and then we collected ingredients for the stink bomb, and then we all went to the party tree and set them off at the same time. So it was like 5 of them going off at once.
Did you guys stand all around the tree to do it, though? So that no matter where you were in a puddle?
No, we stood in like a little area. But the first time I set it off, I don't try moving out of the puddle. So I just stand in it. And every time after that, I run. Because I'm usually setting it off and then I'm going to drain an in-leak keg. But we'd already done the in-leak kegs, so we just stood in the puddle and we all fainted. And that's always hilarious. Terry Adwin went back to Karis Tillian as a favor for Thranduil. She's not sure how many favors Thranduil's got left because she's been really patient with him so far. She's been a little skeptical about his sense of time passage. He said something to the effect of something wasn't urgent because there was time to deal with it. And I'm like, I'm not sure I trust your sense of time passing because my lifetime has been like 5 minutes for you.
Yeah.
It's a human champion and Hobbit Warden and Hobbit Hunter were all a bunch of hamsters to this guy. So, but she's hanging in there so far. We did the instance with the, is it Servant of the Maiar? Whatever she is, Terra Sane. Anyway, we did an instance and we saw some visions and it was really cool. Although her experience with prophecy hasn't been all that great either since Galadriel's prophecy for champions still hasn't come true. And actually Shing Shing went back into Moria again and then out and then back in again. And out, as you do after you finish the Moria epic, you're not really done with the Moria epic. So you go out and you meet the elves and they ask you to do stuff and they send you back in. And then you go out and you say, okay, I did this, and they send you back in again. And you're like, why couldn't I have done this when I was here the last time? You couldn't have just made a list of stuff for me to do while I'm here and I can just take care of business and be done.
Well, and for all of their dislike of the place, they still have no problem sending many, many people back in there.
Everybody who's not them.
Yeah, they're like, it's horrible and evil and they're not going to be successful, but you do it.
You go deal with it. Yeah. It's horrible and terrible and nobody should be there, but go do this. Yes, exactly. And he ended up smacking elves again because we were back in that garden area and the elf was getting really snooty. And she tried saying that it was her idea to kill the thing in the first place, and I had to smack her. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You wanted to just seal up the entrance. You didn't want to deal with the problem. And now you're saying it was your idea to deal with the problem. What's wrong with you?
I think I think their expectation is that you'll be as forgetful as they are long-lived. I
guess. So, yeah, he ended up smacking the elf around. And then we went and took care of business. And then came back and smacked her around some more. So, yeah, that was my highlighted week. So, Cinderina, what were you up to?
Well, my main on Landerville, Cinderina, crafted her first Li relic for her staff. And so now she has to wait, 6 days and however many hours to do the one for her book. But she actually was able to craft it, and so that was kind of cool. Then I took my Arkenstone Lore Master out treasure hunting in the Lone Lands with the folks in the field trip. We took our Lore Master group out, and we found 3 treasures, and we got to see the Master Treasure Hunter get his comeuppance from the woman he was trying to impress. You almost feel sorry for him, but you really don't, because he's kind of...
But only almost.
only almost. You get close, and then you're like, but you're kind of a jerk. And then my Landerville Warden, Sans and I have wardens that were leveling separately to play together upper levels, well, sort of leveling them separately and then bringing them back together and then separating them out again. But she had to backtrack to raise her levels to continue the epic in the Lone Lands because she was able to do all of the epic quests up to where they hit like level 27 or 28, something like that. So she had to quit at 22 and go back and work on improving, but she's level 24 now. So she's getting closer to being able to continue the epic. Pineleaf, what have you been up to?
All right, I'll begin with my Creek Hollow Burglar, Petronella Turner, and I did play Petronella for the Eriador version of the scavenger hunt, since Petronella was level 50 during that time, and I wanted to run that on a level 50 character.
Mm-hmm.
I had not otherwise played that character since I got to the Eregion part of Bingo Boffin, because what happened is when I was just getting to the part just before you go into Moria, I was wondering, I was thinking, at the pace Bingo Boff was going in, since I was trying to do Bingo Boffin every single week, and I was doing a YouTube series with this character, I concluded that there was no way I was going to be able to play a burglar to be able to keep up. So I switched over to a hunter for that series at that point, so the burglar got neglected after then. So I decided to start a new YouTube series with the burglar, heading into Moria and going through there.
Yeah. I'm going to take credit for this. only because every time we play our alts that are in Moria, I talk about how awesome it was to explore Moria on my burglar. So I am totally taking credit for this.
So yes, I am going to do then I am going to be going into Moria. Right now I'm in the parts where you're at the walls of Moria, and we just had the first meeting with the Watcher, and I'm about to do the part where you get your first LI identified and all that stuff. So we'll see how that goes. I am currently running in blue line since my 115 burglar is yellow, and I want to see how long I can play in blue line before I say, okay, that's it. So we'll see how long I go on that matter. Or maybe I might actually learn how to use blue line. I know that would be a complete shock if I managed to do that.
I'll see Moria is where I had fun learning red. A lot of fun learning red.
Yeah.
Sneaking up behind stuff and backstabbing it. Lots and lots of fun.
So I'm just now getting started and trying, because today when I was doing that cave where you have all those half orcs on the expedition, that's when I finally decided, maybe I could sneak by some of these.
And you can, because orcs have crappy stealth detection.
Oh yeah, I was expecting to have trouble with the birds, and a bird practically flew right through me, and he still didn't notice me. What?
Yeah.
So, stealth is awesome.
Yeah, I know, but I would expect the birds to have sharper vision than that. But all right, so I got through there, managed to get through there. As I said, I got to the point where you get your first LI, so I'll go about trying to do that and see how far I can get. Now, at least I don't have the reason why I gave up this character before, as I noted, was because of the pace of the burglar, and I wanted that series then to be weekly to keep track with the release of the new Bingo Boffin episodes. So I don't have that constraint now because Bingo Boffin has been out for years, and I've already done a series on it and all that stuff, so I can take my sweet time on it. And we'll see how long that keeps up. So that's my latest new series there is playing on the Crick Hollow Burglar. Now my Lore Master, where I'm also doing a series for the Lore Master, I'm heading into Enidwythe. So I started up in Enidwythe, and I just got to the point where you meet Nona.
Oh, nice.
Right, so we're just getting to that point there. And right now, through Enidwythe with this character, since I'm level 69 right now, so therefore I'm level 69. I'm just doing epic right now through Enidwythe. Since I figure, let me get them done as quickly as I may. Then on my Evernight Warden, I then did some questing in Rohan where I headed down into Faltham. In our news beyond Lotro. Okay, I already talked about this, didn't I? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, that's right. Drac, of course, made a post on. Of course, Drac would make a post on this.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was in the Beacon when I put the article link in there.
Yeah, all right. So therefore, yes, he gives there, and he gives you more details on where it's at. It's at the Social on McRae, which is in Indianapolis, which is down where Drac lives. So therefore, he's obviously going to be there. And just note, though, that this place is a bar, which means that you have to be over age 21 or over in order to enter the establishment. So,
Oh, that's good to know.
yeah,
Cool.
that's something to keep in mind. And that the official event is from 7 o'clock through 10 p.m. Eastern Time, but there may be some unofficial time after that because you know how these get-togethers can get sometimes. We currently have 19 supporters on Patreon, and if you would like to join this illustrious array of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even be guests with us for an episode of LOTRO Players News. And if you have any suggestions for new rewards, you can send them to Drac at playersalliance.com. This week we do have an Okay, there is something about outfits.
Yeah, you were asking me about the Hobbit outfit on the mannequin.
Oh yes,
I wrote down mannequins. So the tunic on the mannequin is actually from the Spring Festival. It's a Cymbalmean tunic and trousers. The shoulder piece is a quest reward on the Epic Story in Dunland, or if you get the... So there's 2 different shoulders available on that quest. If you go with one, you can get the other appearance by doing all of the session plays in Wildemore, because you actually get the full outfit when you go through the Wildemore stuff. You get the whole Ranger outfit.
Okay.
It's the one that's the Ranger piece, not the Grey Company piece. And then the hat is the Adventurer's hat from the Skirmish Camp.
And
Cool.
Okay, hat.
It's actually one of my go-to hats. I send it out to people all the time.
Yeah, I have that hat on Landrival, I believe.
Because it's not bound to character, so if I see somebody streaming or whatever, sometimes I'll go put together an outfit and I'll mail it to them. And I've used the hat a couple of times.
All right, so you said it was from the Spring Festival, so that means it'll be... You said, what was it called again?
It's the Cymbalmene one. It's Simblemyne, and there's the little 2 dots over one of the letters, and I don't remember which one.
Okay, so the Cymbalmene one probably then. I will have to check that out and see if I happen to have it on anyone if I did that first. That would be from...
I've got it somewhere on Landroll.
Yeah. Is that from last?
No, it's from several years ago. It's pretty old. It's not a bound. Yeah, it's not one of the bound to account ones, so it's an older one.
Oh, okay. So it's an older one on there. All right then.
So if you want it on Landroll, I've got it somewhere.
I'll have to decide where I want
and
it.
And it's shareable.
Okay, that's good to know. Then let's head into our emails, and Balak has one, and it's addressed to Cinders.
Awesome.
You want to read it, Cinders?
I would love to. Hi, Cinders. Sorry I missed you and the rest of the gang. It's okay. I'm not here all that frequently. Just trying to say hi to each and everyone out there. Clarification on a couple of my questions or answers. As for the pet spider, I saw someone with one in Bree while I was at the Lonely Mountain Band was playing in front the pony in Bree. I also couldn't find or figure out how he got one. Also, thanks for the lead on my coat and outfit too. Still working on a color for it. Just got my Moria DVD pack today. God, I hate spell check changing it to oak. Yikes. As for my question of the week, as I am about to get my first legendary items, weapons, armor in a couple of days, finally up to 45 now, what are the difference in titles and stuff on them? Is there anywhere I should be hunting or farming for items or stuff to make it easier to rank it up? Did everyone get something neat in the summer festival? As usual, I missed it due to my yucky summer schedule. Oh, what are your favorite skirms? I am loving the icy one. Regards, Balak and Freeman of the Sons of Numenor. Have a shield and will block the weak from harm.
He certainly can't be very squishy if he loves the icy one.
Is that icy crevasse?
Yeah.
Guardian!
It is possible to die on a Guardian and icy crevasse. I don't recommend trying to do the 6-man with, 2 active players and 1 running as an attachment behind one of them. If one of the active players is a 115 hunter, you die a lot. Sans and I may have tried that out when we were speed leveling our Guardian and Captain duo, and she pulled in her hunter to run through, and my Guardian got squashed and squashed and squashed and squashed until finally I said, absolutely no more of this unless we run it, with the correct number of people and all that good stuff. So Guardians can get killed in that one. And it's not pretty.
Okay, but if you're skirmishing responsibly.
That's a thing?
Well, no, in Icy, there are times when I've played Icy where no matter what you do, you still get killed.
It's been a while, but back before Mordor came out, before they did the changes for Mordor, so I haven't really run it since then. But before then, it was one of those scrims that I did as a tier 2 duo solo on Terry. Just to prove that I could. And I could.
Awesome.
Yeah. Boss fight is not easy at duo, because even with duo, it's more complicated than solo. But she powered through it.
Say boss fight is where we kept getting killed over and over and over again.
Yeah,
why
that
are
boss
you
fight
doing this
can
a
get
6-man and not a 3-man?
Yeah, that would be a fantastic question to ask Sans.
Because 3 probably would have been okay.
Well, 3, I have done 3. I would say right now my regular group of 3, we could probably survive the 3-player version at tier 1. Tier 2, maybe in 3 or 4 attempts we might be able to get through, but
yeah, so
not easy.
I really don't skirmish that often, so I kind of rely on Sans to set everything, and I've just quit looking at all of the levels that she sets because they about give me a heart attack, and I just roll with it. It's just how I roll.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so let's get into... As for that spider pet, I still don't know where that spider pet is.
I still haven't seen it. I know nothing about the spider pet. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm wondering if there might be something that looks similar to a spider that isn't a spider, like a Gredbeg or something.
Well, it's hard to...
I don't know.
Because the Gredbeg looks like a giant beetle. The Gredbeg pets look like giant beetles, so it's hard to mistake a beetle for a spider, I would think.
Just throwing ideas out there, because I really don't know. But that would be my thought if we don't know anything about a pet spider or how to get one, is if there was something that looked similar, that was small with lots of legs, that could be mistaken for one.
All right, and let's see what we have here. Just got the spell check changing it to oak. Okay.
Yeah, changed pack to oak.
Why?
Spell check does weird things.
Pack's a legitimate word.
Well, yes, but sometimes it starts to correct at PAC and never lets you get to K. And just goes, P and O are right next to each other. You must have been trying to say oak.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know.
Okay, and yes, okay. As first legendary item, couple of 45 difference between titles and stuff to put on them. Now, for the titles, with the original titles you get is one for Western Nest damage and one for Ancient Dwarf damage. And essentially, if you're planning on going into Sarnar soon afterwards, or maybe leveling it at Sarnar, and getting your goat, so you could have a good goat for Moria, then you very definitely want Ancient Dwarf, because you'll need it there.
And you can get really excited about your very first LI, but those things drop like the dickens. Out of almost every mob from now to eternity drops LIs for every class, and
Yeah.
so you will get multiple LIs, and you can, if you don't like the one that you get first, you can change it out, unless you're like a lore master and you're relegated to staff and a book.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, you are going to change out legendary items from whatever level you get your first one at, all the way up to level 100. You'll be,
and then you can be done.
Yeah, at level 100, you can imbue one and say, okay, I am done as soon as you've got everything.
Except you're really not done.
Well, yeah, there is that little detail of still continuously leveling that one afterwards.
The Starlit Crystals and the whatever the things are to...
Anaphylaxis Scrolls of Empowerment.
Yeah, thank you.
That are a pain in the rear because you have to have so many of them. And if they ever decide to increase the legendary items levels with increasing levels in the game, you may have to start all over again, I'd imagine. Or, have to come up with more of all of those items.
No, yeah, you don't have to start all over. You just have to get more of the things.
Yeah, more
again.
Yes, when
again,
you get to a level 120, they're probably going to increase the ceilings for each of them.
So you'll do more Starlit Crystals and more of the Endless Scrolls of Empowerment and more yada yada yada.
Yes.
Yeah, all those things I don't have. I tend to have, at least on my main warden, all the Starlit Crystals I need, because I've got extra ones in my vault right now because I'm at full on that. But Scrolls of Empowerment, yeah, right.
Well, go ahead.
I have one legacy that's at full, but other than that, yeah, nowhere near.
And, Starlit Crystals, you can get many of them through festival questing. If you do in an Ale League, you can trade them in for tokens and use those tokens to get the Starlit Crystals. Anaphylaxis Scrolls of Empowerment require doing multiple dailies, multiple days that become weeks, that become months, that you could probably spend years doing. I don't know. That was probably an exaggeration, but.
No, that's probably fair. Actually, to be perfectly, completely honest, we are not the people to ask about legendary stuff because we're not experts. I, in particular, am very meh about LIs.
Is there anyone here who isn't?
Sans gets really passionate about hers.
Yeah.
And what I know about mine, I picked up from another player in-game who took pity on my poor lore master. Thank you, Finn! Yay!
There are some resources on the forums that you can check into, and then you can always post questions on Twitter. If you post on Twitter, you can hashtag LOTRO family, and Fibro Jedi will get it out there. Fibro Jedi and whoever covers for him on the weekends, which I don't remember who that is, but there's a team that takes care of the LOTRO family hashtag, and it's extremely awesome. Like, you put that hashtag out there, and it's all over the internet, and somebody will find you an answer.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of information on the LOTRO wiki. If there's a specific, if you have questions about which ones will morph into what traits and all of those things on it, the LOTRO wiki is a really great resource, and you can search it by class, and then you can break it down more specifically by the type of item. And they tell you what each one is pre-imbuement. They tell you what it becomes after imbuement. They tell you which of the trait lines it goes with, or if it can be used across all 3 trait lines, and all that kind of information that you can look up specific to your class and your style of play.
If you would like to send us an email, you can send it to podcast@LOTROplayers.com. You can also follow us at Twitter, the Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, LOTRO Players @LOTROPlayers, Ariandis @Ariandis, Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles, Sanswinda @Sanswinda, Terry Adwin @Terry Adwin, and Cinders
Emeralina.
Emeralina, yeah. I always fumble on that one. One day, yes. The Players Alliance has 4 shows that air. Usually on Monday at 8:30 p.m. US Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News, but this week it will be on Tuesday. And by this week, I mean July 24th. It'll be on Tuesday instead of on Monday, 8:30 p.m. US Eastern Time. Every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. US Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News. Every other Thursday at 9:30 p.m. US Eastern Time, we have XP Quest. And on the first Tuesday of each month at 9:30 p.m. US Eastern Time, we have Chromatic Bits. You can join us for our live shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.